Justice is supposed to be blind. Do you not think that she might have lifted up her blindfold, peeked out, saw the mobs of people ready to decimate cities, heard Maxine Waters state that protesters that were already lighting things on fire, throwing things at police, shooting at the National Guard needed to become more confrontational? Do you not think that they heard about the pig's head that was thrown at the defense expert witness's former house, as people believed that it was his, a dead pig's head full of blood? Do you not think that that might have entered into Lady Justice's mind as the jurors were deliberating for all of 10 hours to come up with a guilty verdict? Now, regardless of what you think of the verdict, and I guess that to opine momentarily about that, every single legal expert that I follow, and I follow a number of them, and I follow the case fairly closely, believe that there's no possibility that in any sane world following the evidence that Derek Chauvin should have been convicted of murder 2 or murder 3. It was a political hit job. This man did not receive a fair trial. But let's extrapolate. What happens now? We are destroying the institution of police. This is basically a lynching of Derek Chauvin, whatever you might think of the man, in exchange for the disarray that is going to exist in law enforcement, where they are unwilling to do their jobs, where the good ones quit en masse because they can go ahead and get another job. They don't have to be assaulted by people spitting in their faces, with people yelling at them for their supposed racism based on the actions or possible inactions of one man. We as a society are degenerating into mob rule. This is what separates the United States from the rest of the world. You get in trouble with the law in Saudi Arabia, do you think that you get a fair trial? Russia? Forget about it. You're gone. Whatever the powers that be want to do with you happens. And that is what's taking place in America right now as we descend into mob rule. This was a communist show trial. This was a political trial. And the assault on the justice system, you had activists stating that it was because they spent a year in the streets that they got the result that they wanted, at the expense of all the businesses, at the expense of all the lives that they took and the frustrations that were created. This was not justice. This going forward is going to be a greater injustice, because why would anybody choose to be a policeman, a fresh start recruit, wanting to help his community, when he's going to be lambasted, when he's going to be accused automatically of racism, where every single action that he's going to take is going to be put under a microscope? Meanwhile, AOC and the squad get private security. When Maxine Waters flew to Minnesota to add fuel to the fire and burn it down, asking people to become more confrontational, that bitch probably flew on the taxpayer dime and asked for a police escort. It's really sad. It's really sick, because the United States, the ethos of the United States is so much greater, and people refuse to stand up for what the U.S. was meant to be. Has the U.S. ever been perfect? Probably not. No, but we've made strides, and now we are walking backwards. We have turned around and sprinted towards the regressive side of our human nature, aligning along tribal lines, only decrying it when black people are injured by some way by the police. And by the way, if you want to avoid injury, don't F with the police. Don't resist arrest. Don't go out at 2 o'clock in the morning as a 13-year-old with a gun and expect not there to be possible interactions with law enforcement. Do you not think that that is of some consequence to what happened to these individuals? Daunte Wright resisted arrest. George Floyd resisted arrest. What's a 13-year-old doing around Chicago at 2 o'clock in the morning? Where are his parents? Are any of the blame going to go to the parenting of this individual? Sad? Don't want people to lose their lives? Yeah, but don't pretend that Daunte Wright was pulled over because he was a choir boy. He was pulled over. He had an arrest warrant out because he had held a gun to a woman's head and choked her, trying to steal her rent money. And he did not show up. That's why he was being arrested. And he fled and resisted. Should he have been shot? No. Obviously, no. But you don't do that you don't have a death. And everybody wants to put all the blame at the feet of the police. And America cannot survive if we continue to do this, if we continue to denigrate those who uphold law enforcement. Just take a look at Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, they tried to defund the police. They tried to abolish the police. And now they have to scamper to hire new recruits on and pay them more. Who's going to take this job unless you're paying $250,000 a year? And then who's really going to go out and do their job to their fullest ability? You take a look at what happened in Baltimore. Police just stood down. Crime rises. There is a segment of society that needs to have de-incentives employed by the general public so that the crime does not rise. And that is both the police, and this is also why you're seeing a rise in private gun ownership. And then one last thing about this. Joe Biden came out after the jury was sequestered and stated, oh, goodness gracious, I really pray for that they come up with the right decision. What in hell? This is the president of the United States opining on a local case. This has nothing to do with his job, and basically what he would have been doing is giving cover to those who would have rioted had the jury found him not guilty. And if you think, even with the jury sequestered, that this information is not going to end up with some of the jurors, well, then you're sadly mistaken in this internet day and age. Joe Biden, that was a rotten and terrible thing to do. Maxine Waters, oh my God, and she's not even censored by the Democrats. She's allowed to go out there and state, yes, we need to become more confrontational. Trump says, go and cheer on the legislatures peacefully. Was Trump perfect? Probably not. But what Maxine Waters did, any objective person could determine that it's far worse than what Donald Trump did. Yet he was impeached in the House, didn't last in the Senate. But Maxine Waters gets to do that, gets to throw fuel on the fire. Joe Biden gets to go out and say, boy, I really hope that they come to the right decision as the jury, the right decision. Yeah. And then you have people rioting and they say, well, Joe Biden thought it was the right decision. It's got to be the right decision when the president of the United States is behind you. Lady Justice is no longer blind. Lady Justice not only hears the footsteps, the chants, the demagoguery of the mob, but also sees the windows broken and the fires alight as she peeks up behind her blindfold and reacts. Peace and blessings. I'm not hopeful for America right now. Something has to stop this descent into madness, and I don't believe that justice here was done. Peace out, everybody. If you're new, subscribe and hit the notification bell. As you can guess, YouTube won't notify you of these videos because it's not the right type of content. But that's another story. Anyways, have a fantastic day.